The Senate passing a bill to stop a government shutdown, sending it to President Biden's desk after missing the midnight deadline by 37 minutes.
The measure extends government funding into March and includes roughly $100 billion in disaster aid and relief for farmers.
That's right. It passed in the Senate in a 85-11 vote. 10 Republican senators and 1 independent senator, Bernie Sanders, voted against the bill.
This coming after it cleared the House when 366 legislators voted yes. All the lawmakers who voted no were Republican.
The newly passed 118-page bill does not include many policies that were in the original 1,500-page proposal, including health care provisions, restricting investments in China, pay raises for lawmakers, and suspending the debt ceiling. The president-elect reportedly not happy about the bill, especially the fact that the spending deal does not include suspending the debt ceiling. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says he spoke with the president-elect.
I was in constant contact with President Trump throughout this process. He knew exactly what we were doing and why, and this is a good outcome for the country.
President Biden has signaled that he will sign the CR bill into law. And, you know, it's interesting because if you were following along with this yesterday, it passed it in the House at about 5:30 p.m. And then, you know, it goes over to the Senate, who has to wrestle with it for a couple hours. You're probably thinking, oh, my gosh, President Biden is going to have to stay up late and sign this thing. You know, he's got to watch what's going on in the Senate floor. And you know, the functioning of our government depends on this. Until you find out that the White House releases a statement says, he'll just sign it in the morning. Essentially, he's going to bed.
I really don't know how it works. I don't think he stood up. I don't think he stayed up much later than he normally would. And I remember a couple months ago, I asked at the press conference because there was some story out that you're never going to get him after like 8 p.m. doing anything. And I remember I asked, what happens if there's like an incoming nuke?
Yeah.
You call the first lady? And they said, there is a process for notifying the president when things come up. I don't know that a 37-minute government shutdown rises to the level where they're going to go shake him.
Wake him up.
So he's still got to sign it into law today.
I think what's so fascinating is, you know, as Speaker Johnson's talking about, well, you know, I was in contact with the president-elect, but Peter and I all this week covered the Mar-a-Lago beat.
Yeah.
And here we were thinking that this 1,500-plus page CR, which is exactly what the country had gotten tired of and reflected in the election results, all of a sudden, Trump weighs in, puts his finger on the scale, and all of a sudden, he's not going to be actually sworn in for a month, but he's having the greatest impact in shaking Washington up. What do we get? We got a skinny bill that's only just barely over 100 pages.
Yeah. So let's bring in one of the congressmen who's voted yes on this bill to sign it into law, Florida Congressman Carlos Jimenez. Congressman, good morning to you. So the original bill was 1,547 pages. The slimmed down version was 118. That's what the president is expected to sign later today. So how do you feel about what passed through the House and Senate yesterday? And what did Republicans achieve and accomplish in trying to get this into a slimmer version that will go into law later today?
Well, we averted a shutdown of the federal government that wastes money. Believe it or not, when we shut down the government, it wastes money. Why? Because we give federal workers basically a paid vacation when they come back, they get their payback, and then also, in terms of our national security, all production stops. So our fighter jets, submarines, et cetera, all that stuff that's being produced right now to help keep America safe and secure, that stops. And then we have to restart those production lines, which again costs more money. And so shutting the government down is never a good idea. And so what we accomplished, we averted a shutdown of the government.
Congressman, Speaker Johnson did something last night that doomed Kevin McCarthy. He put forward a bill to fund the government that needed a lot of Democratic support. In 2 weeks, when you guys all go to vote on a new speaker, is Speaker Johnson a goner?
I don't think so. I'm going to be supporting Mike Johnson. Look, these are the cards that are dealt. If we had sufficient Republicans to pass some bills, we wouldn't need any Democrats, unfortunately. We can't seem to agree with each other. We had like 30 Republicans that did not vote for this bill. We only have like a 2 or 3 seat majority. And so when that happens and you have to get something done, and then all of a sudden you got to look over, oh, gee whiz, we have to pick up some Democrat votes, then the final bill isn't what we would like because we have to actually pick up some Democrat votes. And so it actually works against us. And so, yeah, I don't think so. These are the cards that are dealt. What we've learned from ousting Kevin McCarthy was that he was playing those cards about as well as anybody could, and Speaker Johnson's playing those cards about as well as anybody can.
Congressman, in the original CR, the debt ceiling wasn't even on the bingo card. President-elect Trump put that in front and center. How do you guys, when you come back, intend to deal with the debt ceiling, and how much of a challenge will that be for you?
We have to increase the debt ceiling. There is no way around it. I mean, we're not going to default on the credit of the United States of America. That would be catastrophic. And anybody who tells you otherwise is just lying to you. And so we have to deal with it. And yeah, I understand what President Trump was trying to do. He says, look, you're going to have to do it. Why don't you do it now? Don't do it on my watch, because then that gives the Democrats leverage. And so, look, we made a deal, or we, in principle, that we were going to be increasing the debt limit by $1.5 trillion. But we're also going to, in that reconciliation package, also put in $2.5 trillion worth of fewer expenses or expense cuts in that reconciliation. And so we need to start to reduce the deficit that we're accumulating here in the United States. Can it happen overnight? No, but we need to start it. And we need to get to a point where, yes, we have a balanced budget and we start paying off that $36 trillion debt, because we're stealing from our kids and grandchildren.
And just one quick follow-up on that, Congressman, and that is, what do you say to Americans that say the debt ceiling has been raised more than 75 different times, mostly on Republicans' watch, and that if we keep raising the bill, we're never going to be able to pay it?
Well, listen, we have to raise the debt limit right now because of the 4 years of President Biden. Okay, most of this stuff is comes after the fact. You authorize it, you appropriate the money, and then you start issuing that money, but that comes later. And so now we're going to face that in I think by June we're going to have to face the debt limit. Look, we can't continue on this track. That's why we did this in principle, and we're committed to it. Is start to reduce the deficit. We have to. And like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. But we got to get to a point where we balance the budget and we start paying off our debt. And by the way, at the end of the day, I'm telling you, the only thing that really is going to allow us to do this, we have to pass a balanced budget amendment in the United States. That'll force us to be disciplined, not only when Republicans are in power, but also when Democrats are in power. And that's the way to bring this debt down and stop stealing from our children and grandchildren.
That would be music to anybody's ears. Well, the next Congress is sworn in on January 3rd, an even slimmer majority than you have right now. But yesterday, you did cross the finish line. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Congressman.
Have a great celebration with your family.
Merry Christmas to you all, too.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.